Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition to. Wait, I fucked up. Hang on. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Ghouls Gone Wild podcast, episode 4. I am your host, Adam Gorak, and I have a special guest with me. You may know him from Pinksock podcast and other stuff. We're going to be discussing about our favorite horror movies, horror TV shows, and music. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mike, Captain, Pink Sock, Usenick.
So, do you know what show we're on, Greg?
I fucked up.
It's all right. You
I,
did a good job, brother.
you remember the first time when you did that to me?
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious, bro. You were like, can you just bring me on the, can you guys just come on the screen? Can you like, where you
Yeah,
guys at? That was hilarious, bro. I love that.
I
Oh,
just had that. I just had that moment. So there you
so I'm also, you were saying that I'm of pink sock and other things, and that is a great statement because I don't even know what I'm doing half time, brother. I have no idea. Did you see that video I put on Facebook?
go. Yes, I did.
I performed "Sexy and I Know It" in front of like 100, 200 people. I was fucking crazy, dude.
That's hilarious.
I'm
Was
sitting
that
there
at
like
a festival?
it was at like a kind of it was like a DJ event. They had like a bunch of DJs there, and I debuted a song that I helped write. I didn't write the instrumentals. I just did the vocal parts, and we performed that live, and then "Sexy and I Know It." And it was outside of a pizza place. It's called
That's
LA.
cool.
It's called LA Pizza. They have like the pizza and bar right here, and then they have an outdoor patio that fits a bunch of
Yeah.
people. And it was on the outdoor patio.
Are they opening up for LA Guns?
LA Pizza. No, no, no. Since they lost the rights to LA Guns, the other LA Guns is changing their name to LA Pizza.
I gotcha. I'm gonna have to ask Ace Johnson that. He'd be like, I don't want to talk about this shit anymore.
Well, that's kind of like I went to interview. I didn't get the interview. My ex ended up interviewing him, but we interviewed Doyle of the
Mm,
Misfits. I wasn't there for that. I was
mhm.
at the show, but she went to like his bus and interviewed him. And I guess some musicians, like you just said, have a list of things that they don't want to talk about.
Yeah, like
And
I mentioned it.
for him, it was the Misfits. He wouldn't talk about the Misfits. You're not allowed talking about
Yeah.
them.
Well, if anyone missed my episode with Ace Johnson, it is available on Spotify and on YouTube.
He's such a good
Um,
dude. I'd love to talk to him sometime.
awesome guy, awesome guy. You just ask him one question, and it's like
Right?
just rants on, which is fine by me because I love hearing the stuff that he talks about.
He needs to write a
And
book.
I know, and I remember mentioning about the LA Guns thing, and like um, sometimes like because I don't write questions or anything, I get this from you. Um, I ask for some reason. I ask them, oh, they won court battle, right? And I'm like, fuck, why did I say that? Because uh well, this do I really have to fucking talk about this? This shit might end up, might be end up on fucking blabbermouth and all that crap. I'm like,
That's the goal.
that's the goal. Yeah, if my name and the podcast is up on blabbermouth, I'm gonna print it off and frame it.
Dude, I fucking made it at that point.
Oh, dude, I couldn't give a shit about the hate and all
So
the negativity.
I talked about Doyle and Misfits and stuff. So let's jump into our topic this evening, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to take your podcast away from you, but I'm trying to
No,
get.
no, 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 no. I'll take you away from me. Nah, it's all joking. But
It's joke until I
yeah.
come to Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
what
horror movies. How did you get into horror, and why horror for you?
See, for me, it's not that I only like horror movies. I watch all kinds of weird, fun, funny action. I watch all kinds of movies. Chick flicks. I'll watch anything once. Um,
OnlyFans doesn't count.
OnlyFans. Well, I watch porn too. I ain't gonna lie. Um, but for me, what got me loving horror is the fact that like I like the eeriness of a lot of horror movies. I love the what's gonna happen next aspect, which you don't really have that nowadays because things are starting to become predictable because I've watched them for so long.
Yeah.
I started watching horror movies when I'd have to say about 5 or 6 because I walked in on my brother watching, I think Halloween or something like that,
Mm.
and I fell in love. And it was slasher movies that I liked at first because it wasn't violent, but like it had the story. It was fun to watch. And then they started getting violent, and that's when I went down the rabbit hole of like the newer Halloween movies. And the first movie that really scared me,
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street. I was like 7 or 8, and I had fucking nightmares for a while. I walked in on my brother watching it, and I guess it's better walking in on your brother watching horror movies than something else. But I wa- uh,
Yeah, that's true.
but yeah, I watched those horror movies, and then I kind of I never been a huge. I watched movies a lot, but I wasn't really a huge movie fan. I was more of a music guy when it comes to like loving shit. You know what I mean? Like I just watched movies for enjoyment. It wasn't something that like, oh my god, I need to watch these movies.
Yeah.
Um, but in the realm of music, I'm like, I love horror movies. So I discovered Black Sabbath on a greatest hits album. And then I'm like, oh, Black Sabbath's cool. And a buddy of mine's like, have you heard of Alice Cooper? Because he was an older gentleman. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no. And he's like, listen to Alice Cooper. So I picked up, this was 2000. I knew who Alice was, but I fell in love with Alice in 2006, 2007 when Along Came a Spider came out. Because
Okay.
that was a horror movie concept album. And I'm
It
like,
is. That could be easily be a horror movie.
yeah, like I knew who Alice was before that. Like I listened to like Dragon Town and shit, but like when I fell in love with Alice's shit was when that came out. And I
Mm-hmm.
saw his live performances, and I'm like, oh my god, like I need a piece of this. So
Yeah.
I went and saw him with Blue Oyster Cult, and that's when I fell in love with horror music. And then I fell down that fucking rabbit hole of horror. So I love both horror movies and music. Um, Now I know you're going to ask this, so I'm going to answer it. I'm going to be Ace Von Johnson today. Um, my favorite horror movie of all time, we've discussed this several times, is Scream.
Yeah.
It's either Scream or the first Halloween. The first Halloween is historical. It is one of the first slasher films and is the only slasher film, one of the only, with no blood or violence. It's all suggested.
Very little. Very minimal of blood too.
There's no
Uh,
blood.
and
There's no blood at
yeah.
all.
No, there is when he gets stabbed in the eyes.
Oh yeah, true. I forgot about that. But there's barely any violence at all, and there's only one scene of blood. So
Yeah. Yeah. It was a low budget horror film.
it was,
Um,
and we need more
with
of those.
and Jamie Lee Curtis's major role, first movie as well, I
I would
believe.
love to see more of those nowadays. Low budget
Mm.
horror films that actually are really good like that.
Well, I actually watched a really good, really good, stupid, low budget film.
Which one was it? Slothful. I've heard
Yeah,
about that.
it's on Hulu.
It
I
is.
downloaded it, but because I
That is
don't have
wild.
Hulu. Um, that movie's dumb, but it's funny to watch. Like,
Last night I fell asleep watching Evil Bong 420.
yeah, I
Um
saw that on your post today or
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, like Halloween is kind of weird for like I love Halloween. I'm not saying it's weird as in like it's weird what I watch on Halloween because I
Mm.
do watch your classic horror films in October. I do listen to your classic horror metal and stuff. But I also throw in B-rated horror films because for some reason certain ones are like comfort movies for me. I've watched them so many times that I sit there and I enjoy the campiness and the weirdness about these movies. And
Yeah,
I love them. I actually am starting to like B-rated horror films more than I do commercial horror films that come out in the theaters.
yeah, I agree. they're more real
Yeah, and you're
compared to
all
the high budget ones.
and
And then like
also
you see sorry dude, but like
you're good.
you see like horror films that came out today, like Exorcist, you know, Believer, that was a flop. Um, you know, it's hard to to make a really good horror film these days.
Well, the reason
Um,
why I watch, and I'm sorry to interrupt,
that's all good.
the reason why I watch a lot of B-rated films and continue to do so is because those huge commercial fucking horror movies get millions of dollars dumped into it and all that. Those B-rated films need our support. Those companies could be the future of horror, but nobody's watching the movies, so therefore they're not going to go anywhere. They're not getting the money support. It's kind of like supporting a local act or like an up and coming artist, but in the movie
Yeah,
side of things. That's why I watch them. Yeah, this movie might be campy or might be awful, but the next one, when they have more of a budget, could be amazing.
yeah, that's true.
Like,
Um, there's a lot of really good low budget movies
yeah,
out there.
Velocipaster.
Heaps. Yes, that was perfectly well done. Terrifier. Terrifier started off as a low budget film.
Mhm.
Is it Hallows Eve?
It was called All Hallows Eve, but if I'm not mistaken, there was a movie before All Hallows Eve that had Art the Clown in it by a different actor, but it wasn't the main character. He was just in a couple scenes.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Um, the
See,
guy that
like Art the
currently
Clown.
plays him is not the original, but he's the original to be starring role.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
go.
like Art the Clown's been around for years.
2008, I think,
Yeah. Um
something like that.
the director just didn't know what, you know, what to do with his character then. So that's the
Mhm.
reason why he made his own movies. Terrifier 2, when that came out, man, that was like the best horror movie of that. I think it was last year when it came out. Was like the best horror movie to come out in 2022 over fucking Halloween ends.
So I have a question for you. I'm going to kind of take the questions away from you for a minute. And I'm going to ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you think they keep releasing all these sequels and all this stuff and remakes and stuff? Do you think next year all directors should just quit making sequels just for a year and stick to original horror movie ideas, or at least as original as they can, just new movies, I should say, because
Yeah.
you're not gonna have anything original because everything's already been done, but like something more original to
I
other people.
I reckon they should start doing more of the Stephen King's book movies.
That yes, I think also we need more psychological thrillers. We need to dive through the more realms of horror, and also we need to bring back B-rated films in a big commercial theater, kind of like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, shit like that. Movies that are kind
Mm.
of silly, but they're in a theater instead of you finding them on an app like Tubi.
Mm.
Because I honestly think those movies would do very well because people are tired of the same recycled shit. They need something weird and fun.
Yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, I kind of wish they stopped doing all these sequels to a movie that's like 30 years old, you
Or
know?
prequels. Like
Yeah.
it's gotten to the point where I don't want another Halloween movie ever again. I'll be honest. I do not want to see Michael Myers ever fucking again. Here's why. We've had the first Halloween, second Halloween, third one, which was the best, even though Michael's not in it. Fuck you. You can hate me all you want. Then we had the fourth Halloween. Then we retconned everything. Then we fucking had a Halloween prequel. Then we had a
Yeah.
Halloween sequel that wasn't the sequel of the prequel, it was the sequel of the first one. Then we had another Halloween prequel that completely retconned everything else, and then a sequel of that one, but not of the original. They keep making prequels. How many goddamn prequels are you going to make of Halloween?
Yeah. Um, the whole timeline thing in that franchise is ridiculous
Yeah,
because like they're different timelines. They can easily make another Halloween movie, but in a different timeline
yeah. And
if they wanted to.
what's weird to me though, Grak, is the fact they keep doing all these Halloween movies, but they will not do a sequel to Season of the Witch, and that's the one they should. Also, it's gonna be
You reckon it's more? You reckon it's more of a cash
it's a
grab
cash
thing?
grab. It's a cash grab, and also
Same with even though Jason's been out of the spotlight for years, but apparently there's going to be a new film.
think about it this way, Garak. Would you rather release a movie that you don't know if it'll do well or not, and it's a brand new idea, or would you rather say, "Hey, people are gonna buy this shit no matter what, so just add this title to it"?
Hmm.
It's a business aspect, and I get it from a business standpoint, but as a consumer
Yeah.
standpoint, we're fucking tired of it.
Yeah. It seems like Hollywood's running out of ideas now. They just want to make prequels and requels.
I don't think they're running out of ideas. There's so many great creative minds. I think the issue is the companies don't want original ideas because they don't know what's going to work and what isn't. So they just want to stick to things they know is going to make some money. Kind of like as a Star Wars fan, I enjoy this, but they release too much fucking Star Wars shit. I can't keep up with it. Why? Because it fucking sells.
Yeah.
No matter
Yeah.
how good or bad it is. It's like Taco Bell food. No matter how good or bad it is, people are still gonna buy it. People are still gonna fucking
Even though it tastes like shit. But
sometimes.
yeah. Yeah. But like especially like I love the Scream franchise. I think it's like the most consistent franchise out of the whole horror genre. And then maybe Halloween. Um with Scream, I kind of like what they did with Scream 5. Um although Scream was like my introduced to horror, by the way. Even though
Mine too.
I
One of mine.
that's the reason why I got Ghostface. Um uh I used to like I used to go to friends' places after school when I was younger, and then we'll watch Chucky. But then I freaked out over a little redheaded doll, you know.
Child's Play freaked
Um,
me out too, bro. The first time I watched it.
yeah, yeah, Child's Play. Yeah, I think it was the cover itself
You wanna know what
freaked
freaked
me
me?
out.
You know what freaked me the fuck out? This little doll is killing people, right? There's a scene in this
Mm.
movie where the car's like flipped or whatever, and he pops out of nowhere and goes, "Hi, Mikey." That hit me in the soul. Like he's saying my name, bitch. I'm out. Fucking,
Yeah,
if you
catch you
don't
later.
catch you later. Catch you on the flip
Yeah.
side. With yeah, that's fucking wild. With horror movies, though, I've noticed is they will start off as horror movies, and then they will either A, get really violent, or B, start being comical. They don't stick to their
Or a bit
original
of
roots.
both.
Yeah, or a bit of
Or a bit
both.
of both.
Or a bit of both. Like Child's Play. The first one was a horror movie, and then they kind of started becoming a comedy. But the reason why I love Scream is they call out all that shit in horror movies, and they've always been a comedy. They've always made
Mm,
fun of horror movies. Pretty much when they were Scary Movie before Scary Movie came out. It's even so bad that Scary Movie made fun of Scream in the first movie, even though Scream's already a comedy.
yeah. I think Scream 4 was more of a was kind of comedy-ish a little
Mhm.
bit. That's why it was kind of like my least favorite. Um,
Can I blow your mind real quick?
go for it.
Scary Movie. We're gonna go back to the comedy aspect of horror. You know, Scary Movie one when it came out, that was not the first parody horror movie. It wasn't.
What
There was
was
an
it?
there was another one that came up the same year, and people even accused Scary Movie of stealing the idea because they had more of a
Yeah,
budget.
right.
They had a bigger budget. The name of the movie, and you can find it, is called Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th.
I
It
like
actually
that.
it actually made fun of I Know What You Did Last Summer and shit like that. And it is actually just as good, if not better, than Scary Movie. They just didn't have the money or budget for the commercial aspect. They had the budget for the movie, but not the commercial side.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I didn't know that until now.
Yep. Shriek, If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. I think it either came out a few months before Scary Movie or a year. And it is fucking wild. Let me find it real quick, Rack. Is there any other like questions you got? Because I was just going to jump into horror.
Not so good. Like I watched the Boogeyman reboot.
Really?
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, this is weird. I'm sorry to interrupt you,
no,
but
you're right.
Shriek, If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th is starring Simon Rex, who is the guy that played the Eminem character in Scary Movie 3. Also, Coolio is in Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th.
That's cool.
Tom Arnold is in it.
Yeah.
Amy Graham. Like, they have a great fucking cast.
Yeah.
But it flopped. It really flopped.
I guess if you watch it like now,
Mhm.
it's like the greatest movie of all time.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
it's just as campy as Scary Movie 1. It's just as, but it's its own style.
Yeah.
Now let's go into the music side of things, because I mentioned Alice was the first horror movie, well, horror themed shock rock artist that I discovered. Who was yours, and who's your
Mine.
Yeah, who was the
Holy
first one you
shit.
discovered?
I think it
And
was
I'm
either Kiss or I think it was between Kiss and Alice.
because I don't consider Ozzy shock rock other than what he does on stage, but musically he's really
Mm.
not.
It was Kiss. It was Kiss and Alice Cooper at a young age, and as I got older, um, then bands like Black Sabbath came along.
Can I
Obviously,
can I put you on the spot real quick with that? You said Kiss and Alice was the two. They have
yeah,
always been the two that people are like, who like. There's kind of like a feud amongst fans at one time where they're like, who's better, Alice or Kiss? Because Kiss, when they first hit the scene, and Paul Stanley said this. Paul said his idea with Kiss was, is one Alice Cooper works, why not four?
yeah.
So my question to you is who, and I'll do two categories, musically and live performance wise, who would you say is better?
Holy shit, that's hard.
Let's start with
That's
performance.
Alice.
Alice, you don't see Gene chopping his head off.
Nah, but then as like um maybe song wise,
I'd say
Kiss had the hits.
Kiss had the hits, but Alice had the lyrical and the musical. Like, he was better, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a toss up between those
And
two.
bro,
Very hard.
not to shit on Kiss, which I am going to right now. Kiss has not had a hit fucking song or album in 20 years. Alice is still going.
Yeah, Alice's albums, last couple of albums, actually hit top of the charts. At least what, maybe the top 20,
Yeah,
maybe. But like Kiss, the last two albums were rubbish.
they didn't. It was a hit. It wasn't a hit. The only time you'll hear a new Kiss song is on like maybe a classic rock radio station that ran out of songs to play. Like, that's the only way you'll hear a new Kiss song. Alice is like fucking still going strong. Kiss is like, we're gonna retire, and Alice is like, you guys are too young for that shit. He's still, he's still
Yeah,
like,
yeah, pretty much, and like I've watched like the Kiss performance where they did the AFL Grand Final show.
Mhm.
Um, it was good, but fuck, his voice was shit.
Alice sounds better live too than Kiss, and it's weird because he's older than they are.
Yeah, but like yeah, Kiss and Alice Cooper it was like a start for me when I was younger. Then obviously Black Sabbath. Then in my mid teens, maybe early or older, Rob Zombie, Hellbilly Deluxe. That album cover freaked me out when I was a kid, but I fucking bought that album and fell in love with it, dude.
Rob Zombie is like the '90s, 2000s Alice Cooper.
Yeah,
Even though
I didn't get into like White Zombie till later, but like was Rob Zombie, and then I discovered the Misfits on Tony Hawk Pro Skater Underground, I think it was.
the first Rob
Um,
Zombie song I heard was a White Zombie song. It was Thunder Kisses 1965. I think it was on a video game. It might have been Twisted Metal, maybe. I don't know. I don't know which game it was. And I loved White Zombie, but the first time I actively listened was Rob Zombie because I was too young for the whole White Zombie phase. Like,
mhm.
that was the late '80s, early '90s when I Rob was who I first started listening to, and when I saw him the first time, I fucking it was awesome. It was during the Rob Zombie Marilyn Manson tour. I think you saw them on that, didn't you?
No, I wish I did.
Okay.
um,
Well, Rob came out. When Rob came out, dude, the curtains opened. A fucking robot came out on stage, burst into flames, and Rob Zombie stepped out of it. And he had like a skeleton hand that you could see through that he was grabbing the microphone with. I'm like,
oh yeah, I saw that.
what the fuck?
At a music festival. And they played What Lurks on Channel X, I think it was.
Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? But now that I'm an
Yeah.
adult and I've listened to more and more music, I wish I could have seen White Zombie.
Yeah, that would have been wild. I think my tattoo artist was saying that uh one of his friends saw White Zombie at a local pub
White
back in the
Zombie,
day.
White Zombie was one of those bands where, like, unlike Rob, their stage act was not shock rock at all, but their music was.
Mm,
Rob Zombie will
yeah.
have like all the horror themes and stuff. White Zombie just came out like a local band and just performed.
No, to me they were more punk.
They were punk. They were groove metal. I would
Mm,
consider them more of a groove metal, industrial metal mix
you're punk.
with some punk. Yes,
But yeah,
they were awesome, dude. I
and
fucking
then
love that
like
band.
other bands like Marilyn Manson came in, and then um yeah, then as I got older and older, discovering new bands. So like Calabrese,
They're good.
another great.
Calabrese is kind of like a modern fucking Misfits.
Mm,
Or
yeah,
no, I'll say more so like a modern. They have like the style similar, like instrumentally of Misfits, but they're more of like a modern 69 Eyes.
yeah. Well, see, that's what I
Lyrically.
was gonna get to as well. 69 Eyes was one of my favorite like horror goth metal bands. But for the people that don't know this, 69 Eyes was a hair metal band.
When they first started out, they were a hair metal band.
Yeah,
69 Eyes, I kind of discovered them later in life because I saw them live with forget who they were performing with at the time, but it was a band that I was a huge fan of. And I'm like, I love this group. Like it was later in life. It was like maybe 5 or 6 years ago when I discovered 69
yeah,
Eyes. And the reason why I stuck around because they were headlining, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go home early. A friend of mine's like, you like Typo Negative? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you like punk rock? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's like punk rock and Typo Negative had a love child. And I'm like, I gotta listen to this.
yeah. I wasn't really big on Typo, but like 69 Eyes did it for me, dude.
Well,
Um,
vocally, his vocals are very similar to Peter Steele's.
yeah, but very deep though. Very
Yeah,
like a
deeper.
baritone deep.
Yeah, very
Um,
deeper and also more punk rock.
yeah, Ace and I were talking about this, and he knows Yerky in the band.
Yorkie's.
Um,
Mm.
he said that I said to Ace, I'm like, dude, like, see if Yerky can come and join the podcast and stuff like that. This would be pretty cool. And he goes, yeah, maybe I'll try and see if I can contact him. And I'm not too sure if he does interviews or not. But he told me that Johnny Martin will probably definitely do it. But yeah,
You know who you need to get?
who?
You need to get Alex Wolfman Story. I don't know if you know who that is. If
Yeah, the
you're,
singer from Doyle.
yes. And I'm going to say something a little bit controversial, at least to some music fans. Misfits versus Doyle. Who do you think is better?
Misfits.
I want to say Doyle because I love the metal theme more than I do the punk theme because he's more of
Yeah,
a metal punk.
Doyle was like really brutal.
He's
Like
very brutal. It,
if you
it
listen to his stuff.
it's like Pantera meets fucking Misfits.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
and
yeah,
Alex is a very great vocalist because I don't know if you know this or not, but he has another band that releases music all the fucking time called Cancer. Fuck, what's the name of it? I was just listening to them today before I came on here, and I can't fucking remember their name. This is what happens when I do morning shows, Greg. My fucking brain dies.
yeah.
Cancer. There's like 5 different bands with the first name Cancer, so it's hard to fucking remember which one's Alex's. I'll find it here in a second. Cancer Slug.
Okay.
Ever listen to Cancer Slug?
No.
They have a lot of fucking different genres that they cover. And it's just the only original member is Alex Story. Like it's a constant changing lineup. But they have music like Dick Solid, Hung Like Jesus, beating a dead whore, I Hate Your Kids.
Jesus Christ.
Their
That's
album. If you want to get into them and like start going down their realm of Cancer Slug, I recommend their 2016 album Sassy for Satan.
Jesus Christ. Who's the vocalist for that band?
Alex Story of Doyle, but the band's music is very like there's no one genre. They just change all the time. They have a constant lineup change. The only way to tell you what their genre's like is you typically stick to punk rock. It's very punk rock, like very punk rock, but they do have a couple songs that aren't.
Okay.
Like they'd still be considered punk rock, but they're kind of a slower punk rock, if that makes any sense. Like
Yeah.
hung like Jesus. You know I'm hung like Jesus. Whoa, yes I'm hung like Jesus.
That's funny.
Yeah, one of the lyrics is everywhere I go, you see all the girls get on their knees and pray because I'm hung like Jesus.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Six and Nine Eyes did it. Then him,
Him.
bands like him, they
Who's
had that very dark,
him who? I'm just kidding.
really mellow. Yeah. Um. Their lyrics is very dark and depressive, breakup music and love.
Since you
If you
didn't
listen,
since you didn't mention them, I will. And I do agree with you with him. I don't know if him would be considered shock rock or that kind of genre,
no,
or
it's their own metal. I guess it's their own genre of metal. It's love metal, I guess. But
it's love metal, goth metal, in my opinion. It's not really a horror theme. Now Alice created. He didn't create. Screaming Jay Hawkins arguably was the first shock rock artist. He's another really good one. But Alice kind of
I thought
changed.
it was I thought it was Arthur Brown.
Yeah, it's disputed because Arthur Brown came out in makeup and a helmet on fire. Screaming Jay Hawkins actually had like his whole set was like voodoo style. So I don't know who would be considered what because Arthur Brown lyrically was shock rock.
Mm-hmm.
Screaming Jay Hawkins was lyrically not shock rock.
Yeah,
So who I don't know. But
it's
regardless,
hard.
Alice changed the game with his live performance. He did like
Mm-hmm.
the theatrical shit. However, Guar destroyed the game.
That's what I was gonna say. Gua, I took like Gua, Ramstein.
Even Lordy.
Yeah. Who else, man? Fucking
There's a lot of them,
Kanye
bud.
West. No, I'm joking. I said Kanye West.
The shit he says is shocking and stupid, but
It is.
with
Yeah.
Guar, with Guar, nobody else was using puppetry like that. And I don't know if you'd consider puppetry or whatever, but nobody was using makeup like that. Nobody coming out like chopping off heads and shit. That was new. Like
Yeah.
Alice was taking his own head off. Guar was coming out with fucking battle axes and dressed up like aliens and doing crazy stupid
Big
shit. Spraying,
penises.
huh?
Big penises.
Yeah, and also they had the balls. They would bring out like political people and like fucking rip their insides out and celebrities and all that shit.
Yeah.
Like it was wild, bro. And
Yeah.
seeing them live is
If you,
crazy.
well, if you go to I've only seen them at a festival, but I've been told if you don't walk out of a raw concert covered in blood, then you know you didn't have a good time.
I've seen Guar headline twice at their own show, and let me tell you, I've seen Lamb of God, I've seen Slayer. There's no more dedicated fan base and wild fan base than a fucking Guar show.
It's the
Because
same thing like Ghost.
when I saw Guar, dude, it was a small venue, a smaller venue, because they are independent still. They're signed to a label, but like when it comes to live shows, they're more so independent. And they're in a smaller venue, and it was crowded, bro. Like it was sold out. So we were all crowded to the front because everybody's pushing to get to the front because it's a Guar show. And I was right on the rail. I was getting fucking crushed, dude, but it was worth it. And Guar came out, and that shit, watching it on video does not give it justice
Yeah.
at all. At all. They could have a really bad vocal and instrumental night, and you'll still walk away saying that was an amazing show. Because it is amazing the amount of theatrics they throw into it. It is amazing the level that they are at, no matter who's in the band. That shit is fucking crazy, bro. It is
Yeah.
wild.
I've only seen him once, and I've only met the band once, and this is before David Brocky, if I said his name right, passed away.
You lucky bastard.
And I still have the ticket signed as well.
I
But
have
yeah,
I have a
yeah.
buddy that got to see I don't know if it was he's seen Guar a lot, but he's seen I think he said he saw the Dave Brocky Experience.
Okay. So
It
it's
was
just him.
it was Dave Brocky solo.
Okay.
He either saw that or ROG. I don't know if you know what ROG is, but occasionally the members of Guar would perform unmakeupped, and they'd perform Guar songs and solo career shit.
That's cool.
It was called
Uh,
ROG because that's Guar backwards.
I like that. That's smart.
There's a lot of bands though, bro, that came from Guar.
Mm.
There's Ex Cops, which is a really good band. There's the Dave Brocky Experience, which is a really weird band. Like really weird band.
Yeah.
Because it's Dave Brocky. I don't know if you know this or not, but Guar, all the musicians in Guar help write. And in the Dave Brocky Experience, it was just Dave Brocky just dicking around, writing all the lyrics and shit. And it was fucking weird. Shit got weird with the Dave Brocky Experience. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. But then you know, early mid 2000s, you have bands like Ghost that come out. Ghost, I reckon, once Alice, Kiss are all gone, Ghost and Rob Zombie will carry that torch in theatrics.
Honestly, Rob, I love Rob. I'm not saying he wouldn't, but what I am gonna say is Rob is kind of getting up there. He's already had his time, in my opinion. Yeah, he's gonna carry the torch for Alice, but only for so long. We need like a younger band. And Ghost,
Well,
I
Ghost,
think,
Ghost will be that with the because like Ghost has the fan base like Kiss. It's
yes.
insane. And a friend of mine said that to me and goes, I can't believe all the like, how much of a fan base Ghost has here in Australia. Like it's just really weird.
Well, hey,
And
bro,
I don't know what it is. You know
Ghost
what I
has
mean?
been around a while though, because I remember when I was in high school.
13 years.
When I was in high school, I heard about Ghost, but they weren't called Ghost back then. They're called Ghost BC.
Well, funny fact as well that Ghost was supposed to be a death metal band, but it failed.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Because Tobias Forge used to be in the death metal band.
the first time I heard Ghost, they were called Ghost BC. A friend of mine, they listened to all the up and coming bands. Like they always knew who the next fucking band was. I don't know how they knew, but they was listening to Ghost BC in high school. And I'm like, what the fuck are you listening to? And they're like, this is Ghost. And I'm like, Ghost BC or whatever. This was right before I graduated. It might have been after I graduated because their first album, what was 2010?
Yeah.
So it was after I graduated, but they were called Ghost BC. It might have been before I graduated because they did have a couple EPs.
Yes, they did. In the whole 13-year career, they've done 2 or 3 EPs and maybe 4 albums.
But I believe the first song I heard by Ghost was Elizabeth, maybe? Maybe? I don't know. It had to have been after I graduated because I don't think they had an EP until 2010. But I do know I heard of them when they were Ghost BC. And it wasn't that I wasn't a fan. I just only had heard a couple songs and then I moved on because that's how the human brain works. You fucking forget about it and move on.
The first time I heard Ghost, was Zach from it was from Zach from Def Comes Lifting. And then the first song I heard from Ghost was If You Have Ghost, You Have Everything. Yeah, that was the cover song, by the way. But yeah. And then I
So
fell in love.
there is a shock rock group that a lot of people don't really want to talk about, but you know me. Let's talk about it.
Who is it?
Um, Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies.
Ah, okay. Yep.
They are shock rock in a way that no band should be. They
That's like extreme level shock rock.
it's punk rock, but with a twist. This
Mhm.
man would come out on stage, and I'm not exaggerating at all. This man would come out on stage and try to fight audience members while wearing a jock strap. That's all he wore was a jock strap. If you're lucky, because during his set he'd take that jock strap off and run around naked on stage. Not only would he do that, he took X-Lax before he went on stage, so he would shit on stage and throw it at audience members. So you have a
What
chance
the
at getting
fuck?
pink eye at his shows. That's not it. This dude would then sometimes sexually assault animals on stage
Whoa.
and do crazy shit. Like he'd fight audience members, throw his feces, all kinds of weird and wild shit. This dude one time said in an interview that at his last concert ever, he's going to hang himself. That's what he said. He's like, never happened. It never happened. But you can find live performances shockingly online. Uh, and you can actually find videos of his last ever show because what happened was when he died, he
It
took
was
the
only
street.
36.
He was. Here's what happened. This dude was a drug addict. Obviously, you can't do this shit sober. He was doing a show in, I think, New York. And he was performing at this bar, and they basically ended his set. They cut the power out. He ended up destroying the fucking bar. He left wearing a jockstrap and a leather coat. He was walking the streets of New York. He partied with a bunch of people till like the late night. Shot up heroin. They thought he was asleep, but he had been dead for 12 hours.
Ooh.
And at his funeral, they didn't embalm him or nothing because he didn't want to be. So he's all swelled up and shit, sitting in the coffin. And they buried him in the clothes that he had worn before. So they didn't clean him. He smelled like shit. It was awful. But yeah, his funeral was filmed and it was put in a documentary. But crazy shit. Like there's he blurred the lines way much of shock rock.
Yeah. I'm just looking at images right now.
He was on a lot of shows like Jerry Springer and shit.
Yeah, I just saw that too. Images. No, I
You
won't
want
watch the videos or anything, but
you want to know
this
another
guy's
really
going nuts.
you want to know another really good shock rock band that actually has opened for Guar several times, and they're very similar to Guar stage wise, but not music wise.
Yeah.
The band Ghoul. Ever listen to the band Ghoul?
Never heard of him.
They are a thrash metal, death metal, shock rock band.
Yeah.
They come out wearing executioner hoods to hide
So
their identity.
sorry, but like to go back to J.J. Allen,
Yes.
there's a funeral photo of him in his casket.
Yep. They did
Um,
there's a whole video of it, bro.
that's fucked.
Well, he was fucked at a very young age, though, because when he was born in Lancaster, New Hampshire. His mother gave him the name Jesus Christ because she claims that Jesus visited her. Well, no, the father, sorry, said that Jesus visited him and told him that his newborn son would be a great man in the vein of the Messiah. He thought his fucking son was the Messiah.
Wow.
And he named him Jesus Christ, which was pretty much, they shortened it to Gigi, Jeje, and then GG, like the two letters GG. Like it. Also, he wrote an essay that his hold on, I'm trying to read this really quick. His father was a religious fanatic, as you can tell. He
Mm-hmm.
dug graves in his fucking cellar because
Wow.
he thought that he was destined to murder his family and bury them in the fucking basement. So Gigi Allen was doomed at a young age.
Yeah, this guy's whacked.
Yeah, like there is a essay written by his father that he was, supposed to kill his family. I'm like, what the fuck? That is crazy.
Yeah. Um.
He was kidnapped at a young age by his own father.
Holy shit. This dude's yeah. This dude. I'm glad he's dead, to be honest. But like,
He
fuck,
was
man.
he, his
People look up to him.
his career was doomed to end at a start. Like he's had so many bands when he was young and shit. And I feel kind of sorry for him because of the life he was raised that way. Like his father was fucked, but like Gigi Allen was raised at a young age to think that's how you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the thing is his career wasn't going to be long anyway. He said in multiple interviews that he would have ended it on stage anyway.
Mm.
And it never happened. There's people that look up to him, and I'll be honest, his music is fucked up. But as a Guar fan, it intrigues me. It's not that I like it, it intrigues me. So I
Mm.
do listen to Gigi Allen's music. It's not that I idolize the guy by any means. I'd never see him live if he was still around. But it intrigues me by how weird it is and how crazy it
Mm.
is. Like I
Yeah.
actually, as a guy that hits up the local scene, there's a lot of punk bands that do cover Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies, not because they love what he did, but because his music, the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
had he actually had one hit song, believe it or not.
Mm.
It was called "Eat It, You Scum" by Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies.
Huh. But like, um, yeah, that's just pretty pretty fucked up. Especially like I'm pretty sure Sid Vicious was sort of kind of like that too.
He was also Jim Morrison of the Doors. He didn't go at that level, but he'd perform naked sometimes.
Mm.
Like I don't know if he was completely naked, but he'd take his clothes off on stage and shit, like that kind of crazy stuff.
It's, it's pretty crazy shit. I'm just looking at the Sex Pistols right now. Um, they I don't know how these guys are like legendary and that they don't really release.
Well, here's the
They've,
crazy
they've,
part.
o- they've, they've only released one studio album, and that was in 1977.
Who?
Sex Pistols.
Sex Pistols is fucking legendary for that reason. They were only together for 3 years, Garak.
Yeah.
They released one album and they're the most legendary punk rock band ever.
Mm.
And there's not a lot of bands that can say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to give a little bit of a shout out here. They're not shock rock, they're not shock punk, any of that. But our buddies over at Stereotypes, uh,
Yeah.
they they released a single 40 something years ago and then finally released their debut album. We call them the laziest band in the world. They call themselves that because it took them fucking 40 something years to release an album. But
Yeah.
do you listen to any modern shock rock bands, Greg, like newer ones other than Ghost?
Um. fuck. I try. Um. The Haxons.
They're
You
good.
know.
The Haxons are
Um.
good.
In this moment.
In This Moment is great.
Mm-hmm. Um. Yeah. That's about it. But I've been listening to a lot of the Haxons at the moment because it's that time of the year.
Bro, listen to Ghoul. I think you'd like them.
Yeah. Um. That the Haxons are pretty cool. I like their vibe. What they have, like Piccadilly and Ask Costello,
So
and
I'm confused.
they had that really cool goth pop vibe, which
I
is
have to
kind of
call
cool.
I have to call you out real quick, Greg, because there is a shock rock artist we didn't mention that you really should have.
Who is it?
Murder Dolls or Wednesday 13th.
Yeah, true. They're the new generation of shock rock though. They bring out shock rock and punk all in one. Those guys.
Wednesday 13 does it in a way that nobody else really has because all of his live shows are kind of suggested horror. Like he'll come out wearing masks and shit, but it's not like no violence or nothing. It's
Hmm.
just him and characters
No,
and shit.
pretty much, yeah. But like the Murder Dolls started off as a punk band.
They were an amazing punk band, and then like Wednesday 13 kind of took that with his solo career and just
He went solo, he went punk metal, and then when he did Women and Children last, that was full metal.
yes. There's another shock rock band called the Mentors. They're around
Okay.
the they're around the same scene as like Gigi Allen and Nirvana. Believe it or not, they were close to Nirvana. They were a punk rock shock group, like really like crazy. Some of their lyrics are just shit that you probably are like, why am I listening to this? Because
Yeah.
it's just fucked up.
Yeah.
The band is still around with only one original member.
Let's have a quick look at modern shock rock bands.
I'm looking at Wikipedia right now, a list of shock rock musicians. You have G.G. Allen, which we already discussed, Anal Chef, because
Anal Chef.
we can't say that word on the air, so it's anal. You know, the band, the word that you guys can say in Australia, but we can't in America. David Bowie, Arthur Brown, Alice Cooper, Death SS, The Dwarfs, Ghost, Ghoul, Iggy Pop, Gargoyles. We're getting into fucking black metal. Guar, Wendy O. Williams, Kiss, Marilyn Manson, Motley Crue, Mudvayne.
Yeah.
This Iggy Pop and the Stooges. I think I already said that. Wasp. That's one we haven't mentioned. Wasp.
Isn't it funny that Wasp still going with
Wasp.
Bucky
Wa-
Lawless?
Wasp is still going, and I love Wasp because I didn't think of them as shock rock until I thought of it because their music is not at all. It's their live performance that's shock rock. That shit is
Mm.
wild.
Well, then you got bands like Demi Borgir
Yep.
is one of them. Ramstein's up there.
How about this is one we didn't mention. This is not a modern one, but Twisted Sister,
Yeah, the earlier, I
like with the
guess.
big puffy hair, and they're doing crazy shit live. When I think shock rock, I
Mhm.
don't just think lyrically shock rock. I think doing crazy shit on
King,
stage.
well, King Diamond, man, King Diamond, Misfits, Dead Kennedys, Ghosts, Merciful Fate, Credit the Filth, Slipknot, obviously, is one of them up there.
Slipknot.
Um,
There's a lot of them, but before
Mushroom
I
Head.
get before we go, because we are getting to the hour mark,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk our favorite B-rated horror films, shall we? Because we talked about our favorite commercial ones.
Yeah.
What's your favorite horror film that is B-rated that didn't get any theater time?
Velocipaster.
I love it. You already know mine. See if you can guess it. No, not Slaughterhouse. I ain't seen it.
Damn it! You need to watch that movie though.
It will be my favorite. What is my favorite horror movie, Greg? Do you know? My favorite B-rated horror movie.
Evil Bong.
Yes. It is either between
I,
Evil.
I sorry, but then I could put Evil Dead up there too, like Evil Dead 2, because that was low budget too.
True.
Don't forget about that. And Texas
Well,
Chainsaw.
another one that is one of my favorites is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. It didn't see theater time, I don't think, did it?
Funny, maybe it did, but maybe it was like a TV movie. Um, Apparently, this song that was playing in the background on the TVs. Apparently, that was Zach told me this on the podcast on here. He said that is London Bridge is falling down,
Interesting.
but backwards. I believe.
Did not know that. Oh,
Me either. Until you told me.
by the way, I am wrong. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch did have a theatrical release. It had a
Yeah.
full blown theatrical release. Um, it it got triple its money back in the box office.
But
And
if you think about it, if you think about it as well, all the classic horror movies that we all love now are B-graded horror movies.
technically, all the old ones, like the 70s and 80s ones, technically, but they still saw theater releases, though.
They are, but they're still classified as B-grade horror films.
I'd consider them low budget. I wouldn't consider them B graded because
Yeah,
they were still. When I think B rated, I think the ones that didn't see theatrical release.
yeah. There's probably like heaps of B-graded horror movies out there. That Sharknado.
Well, that would make me wonder though if B rated is the ones that don't see theatrical release, then does that mean Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey's not B rated or Sharknado because it did see select theaters?
Yeah, yeah, but that got worst movie of all time.
Yeah, but I mean that's all up for speculation though, Greg. That's
Yeah,
all opinion. I've never seen Sharknado. It sounds like a horrible fucking idea,
it
but
is.
but I don't know if it's.
But like, yeah, uh, B-graded horror movies, man. Fuck that. It's so hard to pick, but Velocipasta is one of them.
Here, let
Um,
me let me find something. Let's get technical real quick. Go ahead and continue naming them. I'm going to see what would be considered B-rated film.
yeah,
Okay, here we go. Hey, I was wrong, Greg. I'll admit that.
what's
B-rated
that?
films are a type of low-budget commercial motion picture. They can have theatrical releases, just they have to be low budget. So
Right.
yes, so all the movies we listed are B-rated. I thought B-rated was like straight to DVD or straight to TV. No, B-rated. It's considered B movie if it had a low budget
Mm,
by society's
Zombievers.
standards.
Zombievers was a good one.
Zombievers is a good one.
Um, well, Evil Dead 2 is one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1. Well, actually, no. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is very B graded and very underappreciated horror film.
You know what I didn't know, bro? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You're right.
It doesn't stop at B-rated films. There's B, there's C, and there's Z.
Oh shit.
B is a B horror B movies, B-rated movies are low budget movies with commercial success or whatever, or commercial release or whatever. A C movie is a grade of motion picture at the low end of B movie, which is released on cable television and not seen commercially. So Mystery
Yeah.
Science Theater 3000 was just on cable. So that's considered a C-rated movie. A Z-rated movie has a very, very, very small budget, like Planet Nine from Outer Space is
Mm,
considered a Z-rated movie because not only that, but it's also on the shorter end of movies. So that's weird.
mm.
I did not know that. Sorry to interrupt you, Greg. I just didn't know that.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. It's pretty hard. You know, Jaws was one of them.
Jaws, yes, Jaws was considered B-rated.
Yeah. Jaws was one of them. Um.
There's a lot of them
Yeah.
that's considered B-rated now that I think about it.
Mm,
So,
fucking. It's like all the classic horror movies that was out 30, 40 years ago.
so before we cut this off, though, Greg, what's your least favorite horror movie of all time?
Evil Bong.
One that you'll never watch
Evil
again
Bong.
ever.
Evil Bong.
Why?
I just wasn't a fan of it. I just thought it was stupid.
You watch Velocipaster.
Yeah, but that had more of a story to it.
No, it didn't. Evil Bong had more of a story to it. What you talking about, bro?
Yeah. Um,
I think it'll
Evil
grow on
Bong.
you if you. I think it'll grow on
If
you if
I,
you keep watching it.
yeah. Fucking hell. That is a tough one because I'll just watch anything again. Probably Halloween Ends.
Halloween Ends was pretty bad for a commercial movie.
Yeah. Halloween Ends is one of them, and maybe um fuck, that's hard.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Well, not anymore. But
That is
yeah,
fucking hilarious. You're roasting yourself.
yeah, that's so hard. Yeah, I Halloween Ends is one of those movies I probably won't watch again, but maybe just watch it if I'm bored, I guess. But yeah. What about
For
you?
me, oh, it's hard because you know me. I'll just rewatch it just to rewatch it. One that I probably wouldn't watch again is I would say Zombievers, but Backstreet Boys is in that, so I gotta watch it.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
about Halloween Ends for me too? Because I did watch it. And I'm not gonna watch that shit again. That's why I'm not gonna review it. I'm not gonna watch that garbage. Halloween
Yeah,
Ends barely had Michael Myers in it. Like it wasn't. You know how
yeah.
weird that is.
It was a love story.
You know how fucking funny it is that I'm like, I'm not gonna watch Halloween Ends because Michael Myers is barely in it. But my favorite Halloween movie of all time is Season of the Witch.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
ain't even in that bitch.
And maybe the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot was a bit was
I
I didn't
liked
like.
that one. I forget which one it is, but there is a Nightmare on Elm Street that is not necessarily my favorite because it's way too comical. I forget which one it was.
Dream Warriors is the best.
That's the best soundtrack.
Yeah, obviously with Dokken and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're
Uh,
your dream warriors. I fucking love that shit, dude. Maybe
yeah.
tonight we gonna. Yeah, I forget the words. But Greg, I'm sorry to do this, brother. I got to get off of here. But is there anything else you want to
It's
talk
so
about
good.
before we go?
No, no, I think we covered a lot.
Okay,
Fucking
guys.
horror
Before
movies,
I go, I do
people
want to.
punching guys, shitting on stage and throwing it at people. I think we covered a lot.
Greg, I would love to do this again. I'd love to be a co-host occasionally if you want. Um,
Yeah.
but guys, if you want to find me, just go to allmylinks.com/. I think it's official Mike Usenick, or allmylinks.com/pinksock podcast. I'm on WTHC Radio. You can find me on Only Strains. It is a Facebook group. It's a private group, so go ahead and try to join that. Answer all the questions though. It's a cannabis themed one. I've got Pink Sock Podcast with Garak. I've got Meditations of a Medicated Mind. I have a hip hop album coming out. This is what ADHD looks like, functioning. Garak, take the floor and do your outro that you need to do.
Yeah. So don't forget to like and subscribe this friggin' channel.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure to check out my last interview that I did with Ace Von Johnson from LA Guns and Faster Pussycat and very more. We discussed about his music career, internet trolls, his love for pit bulls and horror movies. Go and check it out. It's on YouTube. And next week is spooky season. Uh, well, it's Halloween. But I'm doing a very special Halloween special. It's going to be pre-recorded, but I will release it on Halloween, and it's going to
Can't
be
wait.
my good friend. It's going to be my good friend Corey Thomas. He is part of the Death Comes Lifting crew army, but he's also a guitarist, a singer, the riff master. But Valkyrie AD, he's going to be on the show with me.
I
So
do have one more thing I do want to say because some of your listeners may or may not. Um, if you are a smoker, on WTHC radio on Saturday at 9 a.m., I'm going to be on there. It's my time,
yeah,
Eastern Standard. Um, we are going to be giving away a rolling tray. not only that, but it's going to be autographed by me, all of the Weed Suit heroes who have helped legalize cannabis in Ohio, and all of the members of the hip hop group Calligraphy.
Yeah.
But Greg, that's all I got.
Awesome, dude. Again, sorry. Like, I've been getting messages from people. It's annoying.
You're good. You're good.
But yeah. So guys, don't forget to subscribe, be kind, and stay creepy and stay spooky. See you guys next time. Bye bye.